How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you? Should I grab this or
No,
the whole time?
you don't need
No. All right, we're off take.
to. You can grab it if you want. You just don't have to.
Okay, all right, for sure.
Hey, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good today, man. How are you?
Doing good. Glad to hear that. So, where are you from?
I'll take this here. I'm from South Florida. I grew up in Homestead. It's southwest of Miami my whole life. And yeah, that we're speaking about veganism today and healthy eating. I want to give a shout out to Homestead, all the farms they have there that's full of fresh fruit. Such a beautiful place. You can just drive around and you see mangoes hanging around, star fruits, coconuts. And growing up there, that really set into my heart the need for fresh food in my life. And so, yeah, that's where I'm from. And I've been living in Puerto Rico for a year and a half now. Been working as a weather forecaster. So, weather here is crazy. Got hurricanes, lots of wind. But yeah, it's pretty much about me. And I'm glad to be on the show, man. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you, man, for accepting the debate challenge, and thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that we were going to be talking today about veganism. That's true. And you mentioned healthy eating. We're not going to be focusing too much today on nutrition. We're just going to focus on the ethics, the ethical principles of veganism for today.
Okay.
So I have a question for you. So presumably you're not vegan, right?
At the moment, no.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Would you find it a moral obligation to not murder humans for food?
It would definitely be ethically wrong and pretty evil. From a day-to-day basis, we should not be doing that.
Okay, so just for example, if we were to switch all the animals that are being currently killed, slaughtered for food right now with humans, you would find it immoral to pay for that, to give your money to that industry that is systematically breeding, torturing, murdering humans for food.
Yes, because I think it would be unnecessary. Because for them to do that, we would have to have a huge scarcity in other resources. And also, why would that be our choice of nutrition, a human being? I think that's kind of a silly philosophy to try to consider. Like, I don't think there might be a worldwide fad that want to eat humans for energy, for nutrients. Have you heard of anything occurring like this? Like any radical governments that they've kind of suggested eating human bone marrow might be beneficial? Have you heard of anything?
No, I haven't personally. I hope that such a thing doesn't happen anytime soon. The information I just was trying to seek was whether or not you think that would be moral to support.
Oh, no. That would not be moral to support.
Immoral. It would be immoral.
It would be ridiculous and very sad and immoral.
Yeah. So if hypothetically right now you discovered that you've been lied to and this whole time you've been eating humans instead of animals, you would see as a moral obligation to stop doing that from just overnight.
Well, first, I'd be impressed that they were able to get away with that over all these years. And then I would look at myself and be like, this is what I'm a product of. Because I've eaten a lot of meat in my life. And what we eat is what fuels our body. So that'd be strange. But I would feel that would need to change. It's pretty radical though, I think. And what would be the basis of this question you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just exploring your values right now. I just want to know what your attitude would be towards a human holocaust. Would you think it's wrong? Would you think it's wrong to support it economically?
I would not support it economically.
It's fine, man. So, what would you like if there was a human holocaust happening right now? My question is just: would you find it immoral to support that, to give your money to such an industry?
I would personally not give my money to that industry. I would fight against it.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I would do that too. So now the question is, what do you think about the thing we're doing to animals right now? You think that's fine?
Can you tell me first what we're doing to animals?
Yeah, let's just talk right now about the global holocaust of animals, just breeding and murdering animals for food.
Okay, so factory farming.
Factory farming or even small scale farming. If I'm just talking about the act of slaughter, that they also end up slaughtering the animals. So
Okay.
just that specifically.
So just the concept, and excuse me, audience, we are next to an airport, so might block out sometimes. To answer that though, I feel that I believe in local farming, and okay, can you see on the screen like the level? I think on a I think it's okay to slaughter animals for food if it's done ethically, in the way that it's sustainable and it produces growth for the community that practices it. For example, if someone lives in a region that food is scarce, plants are scarce, it's hard to grow because there's a lack of water, but they do have cattle, and that can supply them with nutrients that can allow them to live a life that's meaningful and complete. Then I think the animals should be respected. If, and usually they are, you look at historical scriptures and drawings, they depict animals being very important in their lifestyle because they needed them for nutrients. And without them, times might not have gone through too well for them. On the case of factory farming, when it comes to congesting animals in a cage and pumping them with antibiotics and growth hormones, I think it's disgusting, especially when the food is wasted after. Because if they're putting that much energy into a system to murder animals to get food for consumption, but a percentage of the food that I know in America is quite high, about a third. Last time I checked, I could be wrong on that. About a third of food that's produced gets wasted. So if we just apply that to the factory farm, if a third of those animals that are murdered were murdered just to get thrown in the trash, then that's terrible and that needs to be solved.
Okay, so awesome, and man, interesting debate already. I knew you were gonna be a cool debate opponent. So a couple of things there. You said something about small scale farms, and then you mentioned factory farming. So you do think there's something disgusting and abhorrent about factory farming. So would you say at least supporting factory farming would be wrong enough to be a moral obligation to stop consuming factory farm products? And by the way, like 99% of the products you find in markets are from factory farms.
I think we should try our best to not support factory farming by boycotting their products. But I can't personally say we shouldn't do that because I buy meat from a factory farm.
Okay, so
And so I guess that could be an answer. I currently am supporting it. When shopping yesterday, did buy some organic chicken, which, how organic really is that? But I think if we have the choice, if it was more accessible, say if we had a market we went to here in our neighborhood that we could buy fresh chicken and fresh beef, I think it would be more sustainable locally.
Okay, so would you say that you would have that same attitude toward eating humans? Let's say we were ethically and sustainably farming a group of humans, let's say another race. Let's say another race. We were doing it in a humane manner, whatever you mean by that. And that's we also had plant-based alternatives. Would you say it would be wrong enough to stop supporting it completely, even humanely slaughter humans?
Well, it would be very devilish to murder humans on a mass scale to sell to the public. I think there would be enough uprising in the beginning against that wouldn't allow it to even come to surface. Because
Yeah.
that,
Let's just want all that away with philosophically with just creating a hypothetical. Let's say that was happening already, and you discover, oh shit, this is not necessary. I believe this is wrong. Would you say you personally would stop supporting it if it was happening? Such a thing was happening with small farms of humans and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. I would absolutely go against that. That would be terrible. But I do want to mention, it sounds that this question's kind of leading to the topic if all life on Earth is equal. Because if we put that ethical dilemma on killing humans, can we murder a grasshopper and feel the same way? Like that pigeon over there.
Yeah, let me respond to that. I'm not. I'm right now. I'm just asking questions. I'm not making an argument that all life on Earth is equal, of equal value. I can agree with you right now that humans have higher value. If by higher value you mean we have greater capacity to experience well-being or to produce well-being, I can agree with you right now. I'm just arguing that animals perhaps don't have so little value that it's okay to holocaust them for sandwiches. So my next question would be, what's true of animals that, if true of humans, would make you have that same attitude towards the human context, would make you see humans factory farming as something okay to support? If you didn't understand the question, I can rephrase
I
it.
understand. That is one I need to think about, though. That's So what could change my perspective? That was a part of your question, and something.
Not specifically. Not specifically what could change your perspective. Specifically, what's true of the situation currently happening with animals that is not true of a situation with humans. And if it was true of that situation with humans, would make you change that attitude. So in other words, what's the morally significant difference between an animal holocaust and a human holocaust that justifies one but not the other?
I think that because it's a social standard to eat meat, we don't view it as ethically wrong. It's kind of just a part of consumption. So what could change that mind shift in society? And how I feel personally, what could change my mind? For factory farming, I think factory farming should be stopped. And I know that was your question, if we were factory farming humans, like the way we do animals. I think we should go against factory farming. But that's such a social standard now to produce enough food for society. And the shift to total local and sustainable farming, it's possible, but that's a huge problem that I do not have the answers for.
Yeah, but I guess at the level of society, and maybe it's an empirical question what we can do to change that. But I'm just talking about you specifically as an individual consumer. Why do you see it as morally obligatory to not support a human Holocaust, but you think it's currently fine to eat animals? What's true about those two cases that justifies the differential treatment?
Definitely. I would say because I have an emotional connection to a lot of humans. So I know my parents, I know my friends, I know you. If I thought about if someone cooked you and I ate your arm, that'd be kind of weird. I know a lot of chickens too, and the way they run around, I don't get the same emotional connection I do with a human. Even if we experience all kinds of emotions with humans, whether it be happiness, frustration, curiosity. But with a chicken, I more think they're kind of goofy and funny, and they're cute. I love them. My dad has some chickens, and they're great. They're pets. We're not going to murder them for food. We just have them for eggs. So I think it's the emotional connection that we lack with a lot of animals that are slaughtered for meat, as in cattle and chickens. But me personally, I've never.
Can I ask you a clarifying question, by the way?
Yes,
you can finish your thought. And I just want to ask you something about that.
I was going to say, me personally, I've never spent enough time around cattle to have a connection as I speak of. Because I know people, they do grow up with a horse or a cow, and they know each other. And it sounds a little silly, something from a children's book, but I know even people like that, they've lived in a place and a time that they needed to slaughter that animal to feed their family. Even though they had the emotional connection with them, they were able to do so to support their well-being. So, yeah, let me pass this over.
Yeah, so you said that this thing that justifies the differential treatment would be your personal emotional connection. I guess I just want some clarity on what you mean by emotional connection. Is when you say emotional connection, are you saying that there's something about the being in question, like the human, that produces that emotional connection, or are you saying that it's just something in your psychology? You just have that emotional connection because of empathy, or I just want to know what do you mean exactly by emotional connection?
I don't view my own race as a food source. It's not instinctual for me to want to consume human meat as a product. And that makes me think, oh, do I really look at a cow and my mouth waters?
Yeah, okay, I think I got clarity. Yeah, so I think I got clarity on what you mean. So it's something about the being in question. It's from your own race, it's your own species. So and you wouldn't cannibalize your own species. So let me ask you this: if we found a group of humans right now that turned out are not from this species, they're like we've discovered Neanderthals are still among us or something, it's just distinct enough from us genetically for it not to be from the same species anymore, would you find it ethical to holocaust them for sandwiches?
I think we should not strive for that. That should not be an idea. If we meet something and first thought, let's see how they taste.
No, but
that's pretty cannibalistic. But let me elaborate.
It wasn't an answer to my question. Sorry. Like, if I, we can cut each other if we ask a question and we see the interlocutor is not responding exactly to what we asked. We can. I have a problem towards interruption or anything. So like I'm just asking if not if as a society we should strive for that, or like what would we be thinking or whatever. I'm just asking, would it be unethical to holocaust them for hamburgers? That would be my question.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Okay.
And that's why I bring up, should that be our first philosophy with the experience? But humans, they're always trying to survive. And if you put someone in an environment that they could either maybe make a radical decision like that, say if there was nothing else to eat but another human, we wouldn't, I would never want to be in that situation, but I think of a polar bear. There's no plants in the Arctic. They slaughter anything they see. They're trying to live. So it's a very violent and gruesome reality, but I feel that is reality. But if we have the choice, like you said, discovering a new species, should we want to make that species a source of food for us? If they were a living being that has some kind of mental awareness, then I think no, that should not be something we'd want.
Oh yeah, awesome. And I just wanted to say that would entail a logical contradiction, because when I ask what would be the morally significant difference between humans and animals that justify the differential treatment, you said something about emotional connection, and you specified that the source of that emotional connection is that they're from your own species. But I found you a case of some beings that were not from our species, but you would see it as unethical to consume them. So that can't be the distinction. That would entail a contradiction. So do you see how it entails a contradiction?
It could, yeah. But I also did bring up the point, if we needed to eat them, we would.
Okay, so if we, what do you mean by we need to eat them? Like we don't even need to eat animals. What exactly you mean by need?
So if we ended up in a situation that, say we're in a plateau and there's no plants at all, but this is a crazy idea that I'm like making up a story, so and someone could easily say, oh, but that doesn't have to be the case. Why are you in that situation? But I felt if we were in a place that there was the scarcity of any source of food but flesh from a living being, either be another human You know, it's nice that we don't have to live that way, though. I know there's some societies that do it, but me personally, I've never had to eat a human, and I feel great about it. And I think very, it would be disturbing, but I don't feel eating a cow or a chicken is as mentally ill as eating a human being.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you think that. I think that too. So, just not to not add extra variables. Let's just keep it like we're in this situation. We have widely available plant-based options. I'm not asking like in some weird survival situation. Let's wait for the airplane.
My imagination just going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I would personally still think it would be wrong to murder somebody that looks like me and was innocent. Like, let's say, in self-defense, I would kill to defend my life. But if it was just some innocent person, kill them in a survival situation, I don't think that I would personally think that's fine. But to just keep it in the situation we are in right now, we have widely available plant-based options. But then we discovered another species of humans. You would say it would be wrong to another species of hominid that looked exactly like us, has like subjective experiences, subjective experiences identical to us. You know, sapient. They would have language, culture. You would say it would be wrong to holocaust them for meat, right? If we have widely available plant-based options.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous that that's what we wanted to do with them. So you're saying maybe if they were like 99% fat content, super delicious, and there was a huge problem that the Americans, they love the taste of the fresh alien meat. And it's actually in alignment with a lot of social media's fad right now with alien exposure coming out in the States. So I find that quite hilarious as well. I think, yeah, we have enough food already. There's always going to be people who are curious about the way something tastes. So someone will try to eat an alien or some other hominoid we might find. But yeah, let's eat some squash instead.
Yeah. Yeah. So you personally would, just to clarify, you would find it unethical to kill them all for food.
To kill them all.
Let's say kill them all and keep breeding them like we currently do into animals.
I think it would be. Let me ask you, is it producing pollution?
Let's say it's producing pollution to the same degree that we're producing pollution right now in animal agriculture.
We should not do it then.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that entails a contradiction. Do you see where it entails a contradiction? So the morally significant difference that you mentioned justifies the differential treatment is that one is from our species and the other isn't. And then you're saying that that's not the thing that matters because you still would say that's unethical.
I think I'm against factory farming. And I guess I should live a higher standard that I don't support factory farming by not buying the products.
Okay, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question was, do you see how it entails a contradiction logically?
Can you explain to me first why you place eating human beings on the same plane as eating a chicken?
Yeah, I can explain that. No, and I don't even agree with that. I don't see it in the same what did you say, place? Well,
Oh, the same plane. I meant the same.
no, yeah. I don't see. I don't.
quality.
I don't necessarily see it in the same plane. But just so
factory
I'll get to that in a second. But
Could I actually elaborate a little more?
but there's still a question in the table. Do you see that there's a logical contradiction in tail? And it's fine if you don't know exactly what a logical contradiction is. But if
Can you
you
explain to me one more time my contradiction?
yeah, so by logical contradiction, we just mean a proposition in conjunction with this negation. So you're saying you're stating a proposition to be true, and then you're saying it is false at the same time, and that creates a contradiction, logically speaking. It's like P and not P. It is raining and it is not raining. So the two propositions that create a contradiction is the morally significant difference is our race or humanity, and it is not the case that it's our race and humanity. That's the contradiction that is entailed. Do you agree that it would entail contradiction?
Well, I have agreed that I think if we needed, so I think if we needed to eat human flesh, then we should go for it. If we needed to, if it was, because what's the other option in the case? To die. So you would agree that you'd rather die than having to eat another person.
Yeah, and I can answer that just as long as it's a yes or no question that's still on the table. Do you see the yeah? Do you see do you agree that that would be a logical contradiction as defined as P and not P? Like saying the distinction that morally justifies the action is humanity, and it is not the case that it is humanity. Do you agree that that entails a contradiction there?
There is a bit of a contradiction I could see in what I'm saying, that I agree that we shouldn't factory farm humans, but at the same time, I might feel it's okay if we needed to do so. So you may be asking me, why is there the need to factory farm animals? And that might be where you're seeing my contradiction. Is that true?
So no, exactly. It's more specific than that. The contradiction itself is that you stated two things that would create a logical contradiction, and the two things that you stated is when I asked you what's the thing that justifies killing animals but not humans, you're saying that humans humans are it's our own race, right? But then you say that's not necessarily a distinction that would justify it morally. When you said that you would still find it unethical to Holocaust Neanderthals or another race of sapient hominids that were out there. You know what I mean? So that those two statements are going to create a contradiction. Do you agree with that? It's just yes or no.
All right. Thank you for explaining. But I did tell you that I think it would be unethical to, because by you stating this, you're pointing out that we would not have that emotional connection to the Neanderthals. So we should put them on the same value level as an animal when it comes to factory farming. So in that case, okay, now let me.
No, I'm just saying that that wasn't quite what I was saying. When I asked you what created that emotional connection, you mentioned that it was the race itself. So I found you a case where these beings are not from your race. You would still be against not eating them. So it couldn't be the emotional connection thing or the race thing, unless you wanna like change the trait there.
Yeah, let's see what I can add to this. So in the case of eating animals.
Sorry, you do agree that that one entails a logical contradiction, but because you mentioned at one point a little bit of a contradiction, but do you agree now that by that definition of logical contradiction, it does entail one?
There could be some flaws in it, definitely, to where.
Yeah, but more specific. Sorry, more specific than flaws. A logical contradiction, like the
Logical contradiction of that. I feel the emotional connection is the real hindrance of mass producing a living being for food.
Not necessarily emotional connection. Race itself. That one. The human race or whatever. That in itself didn't entail contradiction. Do you agree with that?
Oh man, so I can't really agree that there's a contradiction because I feel like I'm not contradicting myself.
Okay, so let me just make it clear. So by contradiction, we mean a proposition and its negation. So do you know what propositions are?
Yes.
Yeah, so propositions are your statements with truth value. So there's a statement with truth value that you brought up that's on the table, that when you said that the morally significant difference that would justify the differential treatment is race. You remember when you said that, right? Okay, and then we found out that that's not the case, because you would still find it's unethical when it's no longer somebody from your race. So that wouldn't be a necessary condition for you to find it immoral. So if we by contradiction we mean a proposition and its negation, do you agree that the morally significant difference is race, and it is not the case that the morally significant is race? That right there is a contradiction. Do you agree with that?
You know, I've been failing to ask a question for the last 10 minutes that would have made this a bit clearer. Are we talking about the topic of factory farming or eating the product sustainably? And say when you need it. In need.
Yeah, so we were even discussing something simpler than that, which is just the act of murdering to eat. Just write that. You think it's immoral to murder a human to eat it, but not an animal, right?
I yeah, this is a very delicate topic. Sounds cynical, but if we needed to murder a human to eat, then that's what we have to do. I don't think we should. For a cow, I'm okay with the cow being murdered for food. But if we're going to do so, let's definitely try to do it with respect, because it can be quite disgusting the way factory farms produce their work.
Okay, so let's just
And people are gonna love this.
yeah. You can change the trade. So it seems to be the need that justify the justification, and not necessarily the species or whatever. So just to move on from that, you agree that if you said that was what justifies is species, that would entail contradiction. But then we can talk about need.
Yeah. Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, I just want like a clear concession that the other propositions that were in the table did entail a contradiction.
Oh.
Can I recommend you ask him a question?
Yeah,
Let's
you keep.
keep it 1v1 right now. I just want to focus on the name the trade right now.
I mean, so you just want a yes or no if I contradict myself. That's what you're trying to ask me.
Yeah.
Because the moral, the premise is, if I think we should just not murder anything because it's living.
No, that's not my premise, by the way. Plants are living, so that wouldn't be my premise.
Yeah, well, I don't think I contradicted myself then.
Okay, so I just want to like ask you, what do you think a contradiction is logically?
Contradiction is when, say, someone states a fact and something goes against what would define that fact to be.
Yeah, so in formal logic, contradictions are simpler than that. It just means a proposition and its negation, like just the conjunction of a proposition and negation. So do you agree something like it is raining right now? That is a a proposition, right? There's a proposition. Right now, it doesn't have any. It has a negative truth value. It's false because it's not raining right now. But if somebody said it is raining and it is not raining, that would be a contradiction. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's a contradiction for sure. But remember, I'm a meteorologist. I tell people it's going to rain and it doesn't. That I get paid to do. No, say, but I think the contradiction you're trying to put me out on is that I am contradicting myself because I'm saying that we shouldn't eat humans, that we shouldn't mass produce them. But I think it's ethically okay to mass produce animals for food. So that's where you find my contradiction.
Yeah, not quite. So the contradiction is just super specific. It just means that there's something you said that entailed a contradiction. The contradiction that it entails. When I asked what's the morally significant difference, you said it was race or humanity. But I found you an example where it's no longer a race, and you mentioned it would be immoral to holocaust them. So that's what entails the contradiction. Those two propositions right there. The proposition, it is the case that race is the morally significant difference, and it is not the case that trade is the morally significant difference. It's just like if you agree that right there entails a contradiction, then we can just move on from this point.
Well, I guess I'm a supporter of humans. And I feel if we were killing our own beings, that would be against my ethics. Things from other worlds that say, well, animals are from the same world, but say, bring up the point of something that's external. If we consume them, I don't think that would really put much of a hindrance on just our ethics. I think we can still live meaningful, fulfilling lives. So I'm just more against not eating humans. But if something comes from another planet, you think about we consume stuff from the oceans. Those are, I consider that to be from another world, but we can still consume them. The problem is when we mass consume things. I think it's okay to consume because we have curiosity and we like to explore. We like to see what things taste like, how you can make different solutions, because when things chemically break down when cooking. But when it comes to, I might be getting off topic here, but I feel that when it comes to killing living things for food, that I don't think we should do that to humans, but other products, like other living sources, if we at least do it sustainably, then that's okay.
Yeah, so it was it was off topic, but because remember the specific question was, did it entail a contradiction? And we can move on from that. I just want a clear yes or no. Like if these two propositions, it is the case that the morally significant difference between humans and animals that justifies the differential treatment is race, and it is not the case that it is race. That right there, you do agree is a contradiction. It's just a yes or no. That right there, is it a contradiction?
I don't know, I'm taking forever to answer this question. You did tell me about this. What happened? Think about this one, though. Okay, let me break it down. So, it's because animals, they're their own race.
Before you say because, I just want yes or no. Is that a contradiction? And if you don't understand, if you still don't understand what a contradiction is, we can go there.
I'm not sure where I would have contradicted myself. And that's my problem with answering your question. I don't really like to say just yes or no because I feel like it's more complex than that. I feel like that's very black and white. I don't think like that on the topic this deep. So you could try to explain the question or the contradiction a little clearer for me, and I could try to give you a more straightforward answer.
Okay.
We try that.
Yeah, so I'm just seeking some specific information. I just want to know what's true of animals that, if true of humans, would make you have that same attitude where you would think it's fine to keep supporting a human holocaust, like you're currently supporting an animal holocaust. When I ask you specifically what's the difference that justify it, you initially said something about emotional connection, and I asked, what do you mean by emotional connection? Is it something about you, or is it something about the being in question? And you said it is something about the being because it is from my own race. So that's the thing I'm valuing. It's because it's from my own race. So then I found you an example of some beings that wouldn't be from your own race, like some sort of Neanderthals and other species of hominid. You would find it unethical. So, like, that's the contradiction right there. The fact that you said it is the thing that justifies the differential treatment is the species itself, and that you said, it is not the species. So that's the contradiction right there. Do you see it?
Definitely. I think I was getting too wrapped up on the consumption aspect of it, not the emotional side of it. So I think it has to do with humans. We are cared for by humans. We're raised by humans. All these other animals, they can't raise us. They can't provide a life for us. There are stories of people getting lost in the woods and being raised by wolves, which is pretty epic. And in that case, should we really be trying to eat wolves? Not really. I don't think that should be a staple for food for us. But if I threw you into a chicken coop and expected you to survive just being with those chickens, I'm sure you might get to the point that you would want to eat the chicken for food. And rather than feel that I have such a strong connection with these chickens that I would not want to consume them for my well-being.
Yeah, so before we go to there, I'm just still looking for the concession, if it's a contradiction or not. That's the whole thing. So it's just a clear question. So okay. These two propositions. One, it is the case that the morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies the differential treatment is our race. and it is not the case that it is our race. So those two propositions, do you agree that that right there's a contradiction? It's just a yes or no.
I think no.
So it is not a contradiction to
That it's a topic of race.
no, not a topic of race. By race, we just mean the human race. So species. The trait that you mentioned, presumably species, right? So originally, so it's fine if you say that that's not what you mean, and I'm mischaracterizing you or something. But I'm just asking specifically, would that be a contradiction?
As in, can you tell me one more time? Everyone, I'm awful at answering this question. Let's see.
So do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, what's the contradiction of race that you proposed to me?
Yeah, so I just want to know if you think this right here is a contradiction. So I'm going to ask you, P and not P. Is that a contradiction?
P and not P.
So let's say a proposition would be in propositional logic. That's like a variable. Let's pick the variable P, and then let's say not P. P and not P. Would that be a contradiction?
Yeah, that's a contradiction.
Yeah, and it's something like it is raining right now, and it is not raining
So the
right now.
question is race or not race?
No, the question is, so the proposition is a little long, so this is the proposition. The thing that's true of animals, that if true of humans, or let's simplify it, the morally significant difference between humans and animals that justifies the differential treatment is species.
Okay.
And then the other proposition, it is not the case that the morally significant difference between humans and animals that justifies the differential treatment is species. Is that right there a contradiction?
I mean, yes, that's a contradiction. But do you think that's exactly what I'm proposing?
No, it was entailed from some of the things you say. So if you just agree that's a contradiction.
Oh, yes. That's a contradiction.
Okay.
But do you feel that that was my main point with what I was...
It was entailed by what you said. When I asked you the specific question, what's the difference that justifies the differential treatment? You said species, and we found out that's actually not the difference that justify it, because if we found another species, it would be equally unethical.
Yeah, I think... So maybe... I think the main thing with what makes it ethical or not is if... I think every case is individual. And that's where I think it might be ethical in some senses to murder an animal and consume it for food. But in another sense, another point in time, it might be unethical. Do you see the hummingbird?
Yeah, I love that hummingbird, yeah.
So right now, if I were to eat that hummingbird, put it on a stick and roast it up, I think that'd be unethical because it wouldn't really provide any nutrients. It would be ridiculous. And it could, I'm sure hummingbirds are pretty common, but it could support extinction if the animal was going downhill in population. So I think we have to consider that as well. But I know a lot of these questions also stem from not the population of the animal, just it being a living being, how they should be treated.
Yeah, so I'm just glad you considered that those two propositions would entail a contradiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you mentioned a couple of other traits. So you mentioned necessity at some point, so we can go to that. You also mentioned something like nutritional adequacy, like you're saying the hummingbird probably wouldn't provide any nutritional it wouldn't add to your health in any significant way. So let's just keep those two traits right there. So necessity and like nutritional adequacy, or would you say that we need to eat animals, nutritionally speaking?
I think it's beneficial. I think it's good. It's one of the most complete sources of nutrients when you look at all the amino acid profiles, the fat content, the slight carbohydrates they have. It's very useful, especially in places that nutrients are scarce. I'll let you elaborate on your question.
So I just wanted to know if you do think it's the case that eating animals is somehow necessary for our health or something.
I don't think it's necessary. We could live without eating humans. You got me on that. Without eating animals. But when we have the choice, I think it's okay to consume them in moderation.
Wait, when is it okay to consume them in moderation? What do you mean?
I think it's okay to consume animal products in moderation.
Okay, so do you agree then that it's not like necessary for like human health or something to eat animals? So you agree that we can be we can be healthy and we consume a nutritionally adequate diet just by plant-based foods and stuff like that?
I think if everyone lived in a tropical environment or a place that food could grow, then yes, everyone could live off of animal products. Off plant-based products. But for people who live in the Arctic and very cold places, that might even be too extreme for people to live in, but that is human nature to dwell in those places. They should be eating animal products, because if not, they would be very malnourished.
Yeah, so to keep it right here, like we talking about, let's talk right now about us right here in Puerto Rico. Like it's a separate question. Like, would it be a moral obligation for them? I just want to know if it's a moral obligation for you to go vegan. And right now, let's speak where we are right now, Puerto Rico, where there are widely available plant-based options. Do you think it is necessary here in Puerto Rico to consume animal products, or do you think we can be healthy on a plant-based diet here?
I think it's possible. Yes.
Okay, so then that wouldn't necessarily be the thing that justify it, necessity, because we can be healthy on plant-based diets, right?
Sure. But it would just be a choice. Someone would only want to eat plants. Essentially. Yeah, we don't need to here, but it would be the choice for someone to. And based on, you brought up the point, it being a necessity. Because if we're just talking about humans in general, is it necessary to consume animal products to be healthy? If everyone lived in an environment like Puerto Rico, that food could grow, but do you think Puerto Rico produces enough food, enough fresh food from farms to support the population here just on plants?
Yeah, I'm agnostic about that. About if being able to do that just by buying local or something. I don't know. Like that's an empirical question. But right now, you do agree it's possible to be vegan as Puerto Rico is right now with the options we have.
Yes, it is possible to be vegan in Puerto Rico. I think, to elaborate on what we were just discussing, I think if all the farms in Puerto Rico were that they needed to support the population here, it would fail. And that's why there's such an influx of factory-produced foods, factory-produced fruits and vegetables as well. Not in the sense that they're mass packaged in plastics and shipped out at a rate that a lot of it goes to waste. But if Puerto Rico was to support its population by everything being grown here, that'd be fantastic. And I just bring up this topic for the fact of, say, is there enough nutrients and local food where we are to support us in a natural environment?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that, but and I'm not claiming veganism was even possible for our ancestors or something. I think veganism is a possibility now because things like B12 supplements, things like technology, and widely available plant-based options. So we can be vegan right now. So we're back to the original question, because presumably if you were eating humans right now this whole time, you would go vegan overnight, right? If you were eating humans this whole time?
Probably not. I can't say that.
Okay, so not whether or not you would do it, but would you say it would be wrong to keep supporting it, to keep
Stop eating humans? Well, if I found out I was eating humans up until now, I'd be highly impressed. I didn't know about that. And So as you're wondering, would I keep eating humans if I knew that?
Let's just make it simpler. Let's say it wasn't a conspiracy. Nobody was lying to you. Let's just say you lived in an alternative reality and culture where your parents raised you eating humans the same way they raised you eating animals right now, and you found out, wait, this is not necessary. You would go vegan overnight or not, or you would continue eating humans just because everybody else around you does it, or you would say, no, this is fucked up to finance a human holocaust and stop doing it overnight.
Well said. Well said. I think I would keep eating humans. Nah, I don't get it. I think.
That was funny. What a bullet bite out of nowhere. Like, ethics debate lost right there.
Oh, yeah, it'd be pretty wicked.
Yeah.
I would try to make a change for that. And would everyone be finding this out at the same time? Or just me? Am I the chosen one?
Let's just say it was to the same degree that vegans right now are discovering this is fucked up and, we're just gonna stop supporting the animal holocaust. Let's say it was to that same degree. And you're one of them. You're one of the vegans who discovered, oh shit, it's not necessary to eat humans. Am I gonna keep doing it?
Yeah. If someone can strive on a vegan diet, more power to them. If they can live with enough being in their diet. Say, before we go forward, can you explain to me a little bit about your diet, like how you consume as a vegan?
Yeah, I just eat a bit of a whole bunch of plant-based foods like legumes, grains, mock meats like tofu, seitan, like root vegetables, like fruit, like wide variety of foods. Why is that?
And I was gonna ask, so consuming all that, you feel completely fine. You haven't, you feel optimal. I know you told me you've been vegan for a long time, for about 7 years, which is super impressive. But have you seen that's a long time, to notice any stark changes? How old are you?
27.
27. So do you notice anything different from when you were 18, 19, 20 until now with your change in diet?
If you're asking, like, physically speaking, not really. I feel about the same. Do I feel better about being vegan because I'm no longer contributing to an animal holocaust? Yes, but that's something separate to what you're asking.
Okay, definitely. Well, I know you asked a question about if I would make the change today, if I realized the Holocaust of animals is ongoing.
No, we were still in the hypothetical about humans. You discovered your society this was normal, like from the beginning of culture. Like there was like human slavery for food, like, and you discovered it right now. A society exactly like this, but instead of animals, there were humans. Would you change? Would you see it as a moral obligation to go vegan in a world we were eating humans?
Vegan or not eating humans?
Yeah, so in that world, that's the only two options. Vegans or humans. We're not holocausting animals in that parallel reality.
Oh, okay. I should have known this from the beginning. I didn't know this was the world we were discussing all along.
This is a hypothetical I just created like a couple of minutes ago, yeah.
Well, I think, in that case, let's go vegan.
Yeah.
If I couldn't eat fish and scallops, some fresh elk from the forest. Yeah, let's go vegan. I don't have to eat my brothers.
Yeah, let's say like for some reason there was only humans or plants. We lived in some sort of planet where there wasn't any other sentient life as humans for some reason. You would find it as a moral obligation. Not if you would do it. You would see it as morally obligatory to do it, right?
I'd feel, that would be awkward. That'd be really awkward. But I think we have a grip on that. I don't think this is interesting though, because I know countries like Papua New Guinea, they have in their culture and religion to consume humans. So it's embedded in their ethics that it's important. So you would be stating the fact that their ethics are wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should push for a general consensus what can protect the planet. And if a human gets eaten, there's a lot of us. It's not great. But I think it's okay. I think if we get factory farming under control and we more kill animals for food in a sustainable manner that supports local economy and can support nutrition as well, not overconsumption, say with an emphasis of consuming vegetables and fruit, but not just, I know there's the whole wave for carnivore diets and how people feel it's extremely healthy. Can you actually tell me your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people, they believe that that is great for autoimmune disorders, that a lot of plants, they actually disrupt a lot of enzymatic property, like functionings in the body. And I know it might be a little off topic from what you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, I can answer your question. There's no scientific evidence that carnivore diets are like good for you at all, short term or long term, and yeah, I find it highly immoral to do that, to eat only animals. Like I find it immoral to eat animals. Imagine only animals.
Yeah, definitely. Well, back to what I was saying about just farming sustainably.
Yeah.
I think it's
Can I
ethical.
respond to that?
Yeah, but let me just mention one thing. I think it's ethical to farm locally and sustainably.
Yeah, but presumably you wouldn't accept that in the human context. You wouldn't accept sustainable farming and ethical slaughter of humans, right?
No, because I don't place a chicken and a fish on the same plane as a human.
Yeah, so I guess that's my question. So, and I'm not claiming I place them on the same level either. I'm just saying, is it okay to holocaust? You say humans no, chickens and fish yes. So what's the difference between the two beings in question that justifies that difference in treatment?
And as we brought up before, I think that it's the emotional connection and the sense of community and the that humans raise us. We're raised by humans. We're possible by humans. For us to kill them is against who we are. And that's why I think it's ethically wrong to kill humans.
Yeah, so this line of that specific answer provided a contradiction last time, and I can remind you why it got there. So emotional connection. Let's just say that for some reason you didn't have an emotional connection to other humans. So that emotional connection that you claim you have, and that justifies it and makes it immoral to kill humans, you don't have it. You wasn't born with that. Would you see it then as ethical to kill humans, because you don't have that emotional connection, or would you still logically understand like something like the golden rule? I'm not gonna do unto others what I don't want done to myself. I don't have no emotional connection to these beings, but I know it's wrong. What would you say?
Like, can I help you? Think
Please
this up? Yeah.
chime in. Let's see.
So you're thinking that
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna give you 1 to 1. You at the end you can ask whatever.
Back. And I already saw, dude, it's been going on for an hour. Wow, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I think
do you remember
you know,
the question? Or?
my instinct. No, I definitely remember. My instinct is that if we needed to eat humans, then we would. If we need to eat animals, then we would. Should we use it as our only source of food? No. Should we cut it out completely? No. Should we make it more sustainable? Yes. In a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think so. Let me let's get some clarity on that. So you would think it would be fine to, in a survival situation, kill an innocent human to feed yourself?
I think if it was on, say, if it was life or death, then it's funny because I never really think about this, and I my monkey brain wants to, like, my reptilian brain wants to think like, sure, that could work out. But if I was in that situation, how would I feel? And let me ask you, have you ever killed an animal, like a chicken or a cow, for food?
No, I haven't killed those animals. I've killed insects, stuff like that, like mosquitoes.
Only mosquitoes? You didn't used to genocide grasshoppers back in your day? Like a good 12-year-old kid?
Didn't do that. Yeah.
Good guy, good guy. No, think, yeah, so pretty much the question is, should we not eat animals? Because it's ethically wrong to mass genocide.
The specific question. So
It's about the humans, and yeah, I know that specific question. I think it's okay to when you say genocide, you mean killing completely. Because when we first started this conversation, I really like to separate the idea of factory farming and then just sustainable farming, because they're different worlds, they're different beasts. If we're j- in, if we're
say something about that?
because you do bring up the point every time you talk about eating human meat. You do sprinkle in the factory farming, not just the say, if people are doing it for cultural purposes. Say if someone died in the family and they're eating their dead body or something.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I don't personally see anything wrong with eating somebody that died naturally. If there wasn't any like extrinsic consequences that were negative, like the family was suffering or something, I don't see something intrinsically wrong with that. With eating roadkill, like animals that are killed by accidents, or animals that die naturally, or even if you kill an animal in self-defense, you want to eat it. I don't necessarily see an ethical issue with that, or with eating non-sentient animals. But just to keep it in like bring it back to my main point, like would you like even if we were sustainably farming humans, you clearly say that's wrong, and you would see as a moral imperative to stop doing that if you were doing that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to find what's the difference, according to you, between humans and animals that would justify doing that to animals on a small, sustainable scale, but not to humans. Like, what's true of animals that, if true of humans, would make you have the same attitude towards the humans?
And as I said, it's because I'm a human, and I'm a part of the human race. As in, so it's not in my ethics to factory raise humans for food or kill them locally and sustainably.
Yeah, so
I think, but with
let me respond. Can
but
I
with
respond
with a
really quickly
yeah,
to that?
sure.
Yeah, because it would be a category error to say it's because I'm human. Because you would be human in the two worlds. You're human in the world where you're eating other humans, and you're human in the world where you're eating animals. So that wouldn't be the thing that differentiates. It would be something like they're from the same species. That would be the thing you're referring to, because they're from your same species. Is that the thing?
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm not gonna eat what I am.
But you also said that you wouldn't eat because this entailed a contradiction earlier. You said you wouldn't eat the Neander. You know what Neanderthals are? Is to keep it simple. Yeah. So you wouldn't eat them either. That are technically from another species, right?
I actually said if we had to, we would.
Yeah, but you also said that if we had to eat humans, you would eat humans. So that would necessarily be
Yeah.
the difference.
If I had to eat a human, I would.
Yeah.
If I had to.
Yeah, okay. But the question is not if you had to, or if you were in a survival situation. Again, we are in this same situation. You say sustainably farming animals and murdering them, that's fine, but not humans. I'm just asking, what's the difference that justifies it?
Sure. I think that we can live a sound life eating animals and not feel so corrupt. Because there has to be something that happens to our psyche if we start consuming other humans. You know about mad cow disease, right?
Heard about it.
So it's when people consume a cow's brain that, or, I might be butchering this. I think it's when they were feeding cows' brains back to the cows, and it was causing tainted meat because there was a corruption. Or they were just feeding cow flesh, all the organs, back to cows. And it did terrors on their body. It really messed them up. So I think something could happen similar for humans. If we started eating human brains, that would not be healthy for us. We started eating organs of a human, where if we consume the organs of animals, we can gain vitality from that. One of the healthiest foods on the planet is liver meat. And why do you think it's not?
I disagree with that. There's no really evidence for that. But I just want to respond to what you said. You said that the morally significant difference would be that that they are. I lost my train of thought, man. You distracted me. So you said something about humans. Man, I gotta retrace my steps here. Yeah, it's 427. Yeah, so can you repeat what you said about humans? Your last point, like that. Why you? Oh, okay, so I remember now. Yeah, I remember now. So you said something about your psyche, that the effect on it would have on our psyche, and then you said something about whether eating human brains would be healthy or not. So let's say hypothetically it was healthy, completely healthy to eat human brains, and it didn't pose any risks to our psyche. We were all fine. Like, would that make it ethical? Would that make it fine? If it wasn't unhealthy and it didn't pose any like long-term negative consequences to our psyche?
I'm sure it does, though. So that's why. But that's more of a. That's more a. Yeah, I actually understand.
Yeah,
I'm approaching it.
If hypothetically it wasn't the case.
I'm approaching it from a health direction, and then you're approaching it from an ethical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So. But I don't see why you put eating humans on the same scale as eating animals.
Yeah, I'm not doing that at all. By the way, I'm not putting anything in the same scale. I'm just asking questions. I just want to see clarity on what is it that justifies holocausting one like group of beings and not the other. In this case, being non-human animals. And you say things like, because if we killed humans, it would pose some risks to our psyche, or it wouldn't be healthy. And I'm just asking, if that wasn't the case, would that make it ethical? And you're saying it wouldn't, so that would entail a contradiction. I just want to know what exactly is the difference. You do agree that it would entail contradiction if you say it is wrong, even if it didn't pose any health risks or risks to our psyche, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, definitely. And so the real difference that I would say is that just the level of consciousness, in a way, that as we touched on briefly earlier, not in, like when we were walking, how bivalves and clams, they don't really have much of sentient power. So are we really, and if they're in full abundance along a coastline and they can support plenty of nutrients for us, that could support development in the human brain to think about good ideas like sustainable farming, then what is ethically wrong about consuming that? And say eating fish,
What specifically was the question?
like fishing off the coast. If we were using that as a main source of food, what's unethical about consuming that?
Yeah, so we can talk about what's unethical. For me, it's that they're sentient beings that deserve a right to life. That would be. I'm a sentientist. I think that the only thing that matters morally in the whole universe is sentience. So I think it would be wrong for that reason. I think plants are sentient. I don't think bivalves are sentient. But
Repeat that last part?
bivalves, like
Bivalves,
by
okay.
oysters. So I wouldn't see any ethical issues eating that, but I would see an ethical issue with eating a fish because I do think they deserve a right to life. So you mentioned another trait, which was consciousness, the level of consciousness. So do you agree that not all humans have the same level of consciousness? Do you agree that some humans are intellectually disabled or have like some sort of like ailment that brings their level of consciousness down, maybe to that perhaps of non-human animals? Do you agree with that?
That's a good point, but I think that's being too specific on just the idea of consciousness being the only reason why you shouldn't consume something.
Yeah, you can say more things that you find valuable. So it doesn't have to be just one trait. You can add on it. So it's consciousness is something else.
Okay. I'd say it would be, well, that's one, consciousness. I guess on a part of my brain's like, I won't say it on camera, but to stop eating animals completely is a very thoughtful consideration, and it is good for the planet, but I don't think that it's the most necessary thing to do, because you don't have to feel so bad about killing an animal. Because, and you think about historically, when I mentioned in the beginning, people, they cherish killing animals for food because they understand that it is what's going to provide them with subsistence. And they put a whole religious aspect around it, and like a spiritual aspect around it, that they respect the animal and they give it context in their world. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to do that because there's an abundance of resources sometimes. And where there's an abundance, if we think about, there's a good example did you know that in some places, if hunters didn't go out and kill the deer or elk population, it would overgraze the land, and the rivers will begin to fail because there could be runoff from overgrazing. Like whenever there's too much of a population in an ecosystem, it can cause imbalance. So killing things can be beneficial. And if you're going to kill something, definitely make the most out of it. Say if someone murdered a deer, like that word, murder, if they murdered a deer, use the animal to the fullest extent. Everything you get from it, convert that energy into something that is worth it, instead of just trashing it, as I brought in the beginning, producing food in factory farms and then tossing out most of it. Not most, but a percentage. That's horrible. So ethically, I think that it is okay to kill animals for a source of food. It just shouldn't be abused.
Yeah, can I respond? So I don't think you mentioned any other trait other than consciousness. You mentioned something about the ecology or whatever, but I don't think you would think it's fine to eat humans if it was somehow good for the ecology, right?
So we're back to eating humans.
Yeah, because remember, the thing I'm trying to find out here is what do you think separates animals and humans so much, morally speaking, that it's fine to holocaust this whole group for sandwiches but not humans? And you mentioned level of consciousness, and I asked you if you agree that there are humans with lower levels of consciousness, people that are intellectually disabled, by the way. And I just wanted to ask you, do you think it would be fine to, if we found a group of humans that had the same level of cognitive abilities as animals, they're same level of consciousness as the typical animal we eat, like I don't know, a pig or a cow, would it be fine to kill that human to eat it? Presumably you're gonna say no, right?
If that was the case, though, why haven't we already standardized eating humans?
Yeah, I mean that's a separate question. Like, there's cultural reasons why we don't do it or whatever. But I'm just asking you from your own set of values. Would you find it unethical to Holocaust mentally disabled people for sandwiches?
I think it'd be unnecessary. Why would we have to do that?
Yeah, so the question wouldn't be if it's necessary. Would it be ethical? Would it be fine to do it, to Holocaust? Let's say it wasn't necessary at all. It was just necessary to the same degree that eating animals was necessary. We have plants. We don't need to, but we just happen to do it. Let's just line up all the mentally disabled humans and Holocaust them. Would you find that morally abhorrent?
Yeah, that'd be disgusting. But you bring up the point. So you think the whole world should go vegan completely?
Yeah, definitely the whole universe, if possible, but to keep it here. So yeah, the like you agree that the level of consciousness per se wouldn't justify it, right?
It's so you're. It's more that I just don't eat my own race, and that's the big. I'm a human. I'm not gonna eat a human, and so the idea of consciousness, I guess that can be scratched out then, because you do bring up the point if someone was vegetable, and there might be a bird that's smarter than them. But so another topic or another point that I could provide. So we talked about the emotional connection, the family aspect, consciousness. Could say in the health, we discussed how it could be unhealthy to do so. Do you have any points that you feel that might be a reason why we would eat animals but not a human?
So there's a whole lot of like cultural reasons. We've been doing it since the beginning of history. There's like a disconnect from what happens. People are brainwashed and they are taught that this is fine from the beginning as kids and whatever. So it's just an empirical question why we do it. Do I think it's wrong? I think yes. And you agree that it would be wrong to like you agree that the level of consciousness itself is not the thing that matters. It would still be wrong to kill mentally disabled humans, children, stuff like that. You said yes to that, and then you went back to species. But if we found a sapient alien species that like had a civilization like ours, you would still say it's wrong to Holocaust them for food, right? Not another species.
I actually mentioned the alien might be better to eat than humans. Remember when I said earlier if they had like 99% fat content and it might be a delicacy in some fancy restaurants? Could be possible.
Yeah, so you weren't kidding about that. So I just want to like a straight yes or no. If we found some benevolent aliens out in space, pose no harm to us, like innocent beings, like had the same levels of consciousness as us, language, they're just like some sort of alien utopia of good people. Would you Holocaust those beings, or would you say it's ethical to go there and factory farm them?
Okay. I think your sights are set on Holocaust of something. We shouldn't ever try to Holocaust anything because that's extinction.
No.
So actually this
Can
whole
I provide
this whole
the definition really quick by the way? Because
I actually
that's a point
I actually do want to complete my thought first, and then I will.
Go for it.
But
I'll red flag that.
because you have spoke about that multiple times from the beginning, the idea of Holocaust and genocide. Would say genocide would be just killing.
I didn't mention genocide by the way. Not me.
I might have heard it earlier, but maybe I took it out of context. So, but the Holocaust of humans, as in, but do you believe that there is just a Holocaust going on for all animals that we consume? Like, and if we did it on a local, sustainable scale, would it still be considered a Holocaust?
Yeah, so by definition it would. So the definition I'm using of Holocaust is just the first definition that pops up when you Google Holocaust definition is just slaughter or destruction on a mass scale. So we're slaughtering animals on a mass scale. If we were doing that to humans, it would also be a Holocaust. I'm not using a definition with genocidal intentions or anything like that.
What would you say would be the additional definition? of Holocaust.
Yeah, so something like capital H Holocaust typically refers to the like Jewish Holocaust of the Nazis,
say
the historical Holocaust. What's that?
Would you say extinction?
I personally haven't seen a definition of Holocaust that entails extinction. Genocide entails extinction, not Holocaust. Holocaust just means slaughtering something at a mass scale.
Fair. So now that we clarified that, I, I, yeah, we could definitely, if we discovered some aliens, we just have to watch out, man. If we start eating aliens and they're sentient in a way, what are they going to do to us? And would that be ethical for our own race? As in, and that ties back to, is it ethical to do factory farming that pollutes tons of regions of the world? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I don't know if you agree or not. You suggest that you would think it's fine, but it might pose some risk or something to us because they might retaliate and create some sort of intraplanet war or something. Let's say that wasn't the case. They were so benevolent that they all believed in like non-violence and ahimsa or whatever. They wouldn't retaliate in any way. They would just let themselves be holocausted. Would you see that as something ethical to go to their planet and do that?
I think it could be wrong, but I think something similar happens locally on our own planet, to where even in farming practices with plants, say in a field of potatoes, when they mass spray pesticides, organicides, herbicides, and they kill tons of insects and bunnies, small animals, in a way they're comfortable with the Holocaust of smaller animals for the source of food. And I think that's unethical too. And that also pollutes the local atmosphere, the watershed. How do you feel about that?
About specifically crop deaths and stuff like that?
Yes, killing smaller animals and insects with poisons.
Yeah, I don't see like the rights violation that would be entailed by that. Like because I do believe that there are some countervailing rights, like a right to property, like a right to feed ourselves, and there's no like pragmatic way around getting rid of those small animals. So, like if there was a way to reason with them, like please get out of the way, we're gonna do this, it would be obligatory to do that. But there's no way to do that. Like it's just like something that we have to do. I don't see it as necessarily wrong because there could be like carnivorous animals that are just gonna like rights violate the rights of more small animals or whatever. But like I don't necessarily see the rights violation, but I clearly see the rights violation to going to another planet and holocausting an innocent like sapient species. Do you agree with me there?
Yeah, sure. And that's how you view going out and killing chickens. But what if someone sustainably raises chickens on their property and they feed them every day and they treat them well, but then they kill them every once in a while to make some soup? How is that different from the ethical reasons of producing food by spraying pesticides on it, killing other animals?
Yeah, because I do see the rights violation in like breeding some innocent animals into existence to holocaust them. Like we were talking about in crop deaths, we're talking about protecting our property, like feeding ourselves. There's no pragmatic way around it. We're probably killing like low sentience carnivorous animals. Like I don't necessarily see any ethical issue with that. But in the case of innocent chickens, like bringing those beings into existence, I would put it like in a human context. Would I be happy with like breeding innocent like low sentience humans, like mentally disabled humans that were in the same level as a chicken? Let's say they had the same subjective experience as a chicken, but they were in human bodies, and we were doing that to them and murdering them. I would see it as abhorrent in the same way I see killing chickens abhorrent. Would you also see abhorrent to doing that to a group of humans, or even to a group of innocent alien species or something?
Yeah. Sure.
So you do agree there that there's no morally significant difference between us and animals that would justify the differential treatment? So are you agreeing that you have like vegan values now?
um, you know what I got out of this? That I need to eat local more frequently. I do like to. I know that doesn't answer the vegan question,
Yeah.
but
Because
I
I'll specify why it doesn't answer, because you still wouldn't do that in a human context. You wouldn't eat locally farmed humans. So you still haven't provided. I'm just saying that, no, you still haven't provided a logically consistent separation between us and animals that would justify it.
yeah, I guess I should have thought about this one before. I can tell you put a lot of thought into this. It's
Was
good. You've put a lot of thought into this.
About 7 years, right?
Well, 7 years. Okay. Well, then.
There's no justification, man. You're just coming to the realization, man. Welcome. No, high five, man. Good faith. It was good faith discussion. Thanks for
Yeah, man.
answering every question and everything, man.
It is an interesting topic, though. But I think placing just humans and eating, because some people eat crickets for food. What do you think about that? Do you,
Yeah,
do you eat
so
crickets?
because I just want to respond to that, because you've been like suggesting like throughout the discussion that I somehow put animals and humans in the same level of value or something. I never claimed that. I definitely see a hierarchy of values. Humans are higher than crickets or whatever. I'm just saying that animals are not like they don't have so little value. It's okay to just like holocaust them for inessential food items. You know what I mean? And crickets. Like if they're sentient, they deserve a right to life. That's an empirical question. I put a precautionary principle on crickets because they could be sentient. I believe they have brains. So if they're sentient, they should be left alone in peace. You know.
Yeah. I guess because of the social standard of consuming meat and the amount of nutrients we get from it, it's easily accessible to do so. And it's not as accessible to get the same amount of nutrients and be as healthy on plant products. If you do it right, but it's not taught properly, and it's not. A lot of people do it wrong. I know I brought up the point earlier. People who live in the north, they could be quite deficient in nutrients if they're not getting the right types of plants or amount of sunlight, and that would require supplementation. Where if they ate an animal product, they would get that much quicker and be much healthier. So I think we just need to be more conscious about how we consume food, not what we consume exactly, just how we consume it. And we need to people should eat mostly plants and fruit, but if every so often it's Thanksgiving, you're gonna have a turkey that you and your boys caught, and you are super grateful for the turkey. He gives thumbs down, but I love some turkey soup. What was that?
Yeah, but taste pleasure doesn't justify violence, does it?
No, but I think this is a violent world when there's chaos. And if we can try to control that as much as possible, we can choose when to put that level of violence for cultural practices and living a happy, fulfilled life. Because a lot of people, their communities bond over eating fresh fish that the fishermen went out and caught that morning. There's a lot of power in that allowed humans to thrive thousands of years. That sense of community, bringing food together. And I think that shouldn't be canceled out. We should try to be more thoughtful about what we eat. But I don't think the answer is just cutting out animal products.
Yeah. So like I don't know if you. Okay, so let me ask you this: would you say that if somebody went to be vegan, like somebody stopping uh, their 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 financing of an animal holocaust, would you say that would be morally superior to keep supporting it, or would you say it's in the same level?
Making the worst.
I think that would be much worse. Someone supporting that.
Yeah. Okay. So it would be morally superior, but you still don't see it in the level as a moral obligation for some reason. But do you agree you haven't provided like a separation between us and animals that justifies that differential treatment, right?
Uh, so you believe that it's more of just a greedy, self-entitled thing that humans feel? That we're just entitled to eat animals. But why is that?
Yeah.
Why should we? Because if it was our own race, what's the reason for it? Yeah, and I think some things don't need a complete answer. As in, maybe I don't have the best answer for you right now. But it is something I can think about. And if we're doing something and it works, and it's not killing the planet, then it's okay. It's
Yeah, so let's just put it into context what you just say, like the logical conclusions of what you just said. Let's say it was working and it wasn't messing up the planet to enslave humans, like that's an atrocity that we committed not long ago, right? Human slavery. Like, would you have that same attitude where it's, well, it works, it's not destroying the planet, so it's fine? And personally, your answer would be slavery wasn't fine. It would not be fine to do it again. But it is fine to enslave animals and kill them. But why? What's the difference between us and animals that justify it? Do you agree that you haven't provided a logically consistent response to that?
I think it's because it's simpler than that. It doesn't really need as deep of a logical explanation because it's just a part of human nature. It's more that instead of trying to justify why we shouldn't do it, we should decide how we should do it.
Yeah. So it's probably part of human nature to commit like tribal warfare, to rape, to enslave. Probably it was embedded in our genes that we were destined to enslave ourselves at some point. Would that justify it? Because it's like part of our nature, whatever.
No. We need to control those things. Yeah, we definitely need to control it.
So why do we need it? We need to control them in the human context, but not with other beings that also seem to be sentient. They seem to value their own lives. They have a capacity for suffering. Why like you wouldn't have that same attitude in the human context where you say like we don't need to question so much about everything. Come on, we don't need to find the logical entailments of everything. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. We're enslaving humans, but not everything needs an answer. You wouldn't say that about the human context, so why say about the animal context? I'm still not seeing the separation that would make you have that attitude toward the human context, but not the animal context.
I would say because animals, as in the ones that we can consume and be healthy on, it's become a staple for humans to thrive. And without that, we would have perished. Especially back in the day. And now not so much. The tables have kind of shifted. We can consume other types of foods, plant-based foods, and still be healthy and live on them. But to completely flip and kill no more animals for food at all, it would completely destroy the livelihoods of tons of people that. What about all the farmers who they've.
Yeah, what about all these slave owners that lost their job? Like the thing is, man. Like I'm always gonna do that. I'm always gonna bring it back to the human context. And when you say something like, we've been doing this for so long, we got here because of that. Like I can agree with you there. We probably wouldn't be here if our ancestors didn't do what they had to do to survive. They probably raped each other. They probably committed tribal warfare. They enslaved each other. Probably we wouldn't be here without slavery. Like, would that justify it? I don't think so. Like, we're here now, so the question is, would it be ethical right now to support a human holocaust? Your answer is no. Why is it okay to holocaust animals? Like, would the fact that it helped us bring our species here justify it? Like, slavery probably helped our species get to this level of civilization. Would that be ethical to continue doing it just because it worked and it brought us here?
It's a good point. Good point. And in relation to animals, should we continue murdering them because we don't need it anymore? Then I would say we should choose not to. If that was the case, if someone felt that strongly that it's ethically wrong and that we don't need it anymore, don't eat them. That's not important to them. So it's more of a choice rather than anything. I think it should be more of a standard that people like a plant-based diet, but is it much of a standard? Are there studies showing that it's completely healthy and sustainable? And is that being taught? And if not, why is it not being taught?
Yeah, whether it's being thought or not, I can't pronounce that word. Whether it's being taught, like in medical school and stuff like that, I think they teach more nutrition. It is, fairly accepted in scientific community that plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate. Like, I don't know if you've seen the paper of the nutrition, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. That's like the largest group of nutritionists and dietitians on Earth. They came to the conclusion, according to all the available evidence, that plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate, and not only nutritionally adequate, but provide health benefits, like against deadly diseases like heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancers. So, and it's adequate throughout all stages of the life cycle, like for pregnant women, for children, for athletes. As long as you're consuming enough calories and you're supplementing B12, won't have any risks.
Okay. How do you feel about that supplementation of B12? Do you feel like there's something lacking in the food that you would have to?
The thing about B12, I see it as something wonderful. Like, technology gave us the opportunity to stop holocausting animals, and we have that technology now. So why eat them for something that we can get from a supplement? Because the thing about B12 is it's from bacterial origin, and it typically is created in the soil. And animals that eat directly from the soil, they get the B12 in them, and then we murder the animals and eat the B12. We also produce B12, but it's essential to consume it too because we don't produce enough. I think it's in a part of our gut that our body doesn't absorb it or something. It's like some sort of biological mistake or something. But the thing is, why would it be ethical to holocaust animals for B12 when we can just find it in a pill? You know what I mean?
Eddie, you mentioned that animals are also something.
Yeah, and because of factory farms, animals are not directly eating from the soil right now, so they get supplemented with B12. They get injections of B12 before we murder them. So, like, why not consume the B12 directly instead of like supporting a cycle of violence and destruction and slaughter?
Did you know that?
Absolutely. Yeah, they sup them. They sup them up with everything. They live in dark sheds. What is going to be healthy in that environment?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, even though I haven't provided, say, an exact, well, I think I have provided enough sufficient evidence why I feel that it's still okay to eat animals, but not really to eat humans, like why we shouldn't do that.
I
But,
disagree,
like-
by the way. Disagree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, so can I respond?
Sure.
Yeah, so you say you've provided enough of a justification or something. I think you have, and because what I'm trying to find out is what's the asymmetry between humans and animals that justifies the differential treatment. You haven't provided a logically consistent answer. Like, the things you brought up either entail contradictions or have reductios that you don't like committing a mentally disabled human holocaust, stuff like that. You say no. So you haven't provided like a trait or a set of traits that justifies it yet.
I think it's simple, though. It's just, we're humans. Let's not really try to eat humans. But other stuff, if we can eat it for subsistence, let's go for it. Let's try our best. And let's try to be sustainable about it. That's what we should strive for,
And by
sustainability.
the way, and that includes the innocent alien species that they're over there valuing their own families, having like some excellent quality of subjective well-being. Going over there and like holocausting them, you would find that fine because you said just not eat our species. That's not our species. You would because that's a logical conclusion of your view, and would you accept it? That's the question.
The problem with that is that that's make believe. And kind of that's in the fairy tale land. So if we're sticking to just reality,
Yeah, I'm just like it's just a question that I'm asking because it does extend logically from your question whether it's reality or not. The universe is immense. There could be alien life out there. I don't know why it's such an unrealistic hypothetical. Let's say it was. Let's say right now, like some astronauts discovered this innocent alien species, and we had technology to go there. Would it be fine to holocaust them? That's a logical entailment of your view. Like your view entails that it would be fine because they're not human, and that's why I'm asking you: would it be fine?
I think no, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right, but I do not view, say, killing animals, say, raising cattle for beef, as like enslaving a nation of people to consume them. Because if we did find an alien race, they would put up a fight, and that would be very bloody and gory, and a lot of lives would be left.
By the way,
Yeah,
let's keep it one to one. But like again, like assuming that they didn't, let's say this race of aliens practice ahimsa. Ahimsa, like the non-violence rule in Eastern religion. Let's say they had a similar religion with ahimsa. They didn't fight back. Would it be fine to go and holocaust them?
no.
Yeah, so
But that, I made a point earlier that would support why I don't think it'd be okay.
yeah, but then the distinction can be just we're humans. Let's not eat humans. You also wouldn't eat them, right?
Yeah, I think it's okay to consume products of any diversity that could be, but I know the overarching question is why should we do it at all? Why should we? Because if we wouldn't kill, say, a human for food,
Not white, but it's close. But that's not the overarching question.
it's like, why should we kill animals for food, but not humans? And that's kind of what you've been getting at this whole
And more
time.
specifically, that would justify eating humans if humans had that thing that you say justified in the animal case.
Yeah, I just chickens and cows and fish. I think they're a gift for us to enjoy. And this guy's shaking his head. He totally disagrees, but I think it's okay to do it as long as we're doing it respectfully. And let me ask you, before you consume your food, do you ever give thanks and grace? Before you, say if you prepare yourself a meal, have you ever sat there alone and you've did a bit of a prayer, just grateful for what you're about to consume?
Well, personally, I am very grateful. Do I practice it as much as I should? No, probably not. I don't pray. But yeah, I am grateful that I am able to have the quality of life that I have and eat the things I eat. But I guess the question there's still not an answer to, because you wouldn't eat the innocent alien species, or would you? I mean, because that is a logical conclusion of the thing you said.
I told you yes.
You would eat them?
Yeah, I told you. I told you this. Yes, we would eat them, but should we continue eating them? It depends the complexity of situation. Say if they are a food source that some people can benefit from, and we needed them somehow, then sure. And I know that brings up do we need to kill animals for a food source?
Yeah, because
We probably don't, but people are going to anyways. So, what are you going to just tell everyone what to do?
yeah. So the question wouldn't be about what should we tell everyone, like what should we do about changing the situation. The question is simpler than that: is why don't you see it as a moral obligation to change? And the question is, if we were eating this innocent species, would you be one of the ones that doesn't support it, that doesn't support it with your money, to eat this innocent, intelligent, sapient alien species? Would you be one of the so-called vegans that wouldn't accept eating them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think that'd be fun. Join a cause.
But it would be unethical to buy that meat, or wouldn't it?
I think if we saw that they had the capacity to exist on a similar level that us humans do, to consume them would be quite violent. And that, yeah, I would go against that.
Yeah, and so that does the contradiction that entails that is that you said species, and this is the first contradiction in the beginning of the debate, but you mentioned it again, that we are humans, we don't eat humans, but you wouldn't eat that either, and you would find it unethical. So the distinction isn't human. So
That's the contradiction.
what is it then? If it's not because they're human, because they're not human, what's the difference that justifies eating animals? Like we have this other category of sentient beings that seem to value their own lives, like us. Like, why holocaust them and not humans? Like what justified it? Or
I guess a fair answer is that I'm on the fence with it. I'm not on one team or the other. That's why my answer seems somewhere in the middle. Because I think we will consume things, we will eat them, but if it's not really necessary, then we don't have to. But if we choose to, because we're animals of pleasure as well. We do a lot of pleasurable things. And, some might say it's not ethical, or why should we have the rights to? But we assign the rights to ourselves. And that's the amazing part about being human. And that could be abused, but I think if respected, then it's a very powerful thing to catch a fish and be grateful for it and share it among people. And if we had it's on the topic of we find another race and we start killing them and stuff, that would be, and say even just eating humans. Let's just bring it back to humans. If we started to kill humans for food, and it might start happening. And I personally wouldn't want to buy human meat because that's not my style.
is it not your style, or is it unethical?
It's would be just it'd be not. I don't think I would. That would be pretty nasty.
So it would be
Mostly
unethical,
because unethical.
immoral.
Yeah, but I don't view eating a chicken as eating a human, and I think that's where you don't. We have different mindsets to where you see them as similar. I don't.
Yeah, and the thing we haven't gotten to the bottom of is why do you have that different mindset? Because, like you mentioned a couple of things there. You mentioned necessity. You agree that we can put that away. Like, that's no longer on the table, necessity, because it's not necessary to eat animals. Like the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, all science points to the direction that plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate. So it's out of the table that it's necessary. You said something about what else? Species is not the distinction. I don't even remember what else you said. But like, what is it that's true of the animals that is not true of the humans, that makes it okay to holocaust them? Like, why don't you see it as a moral obligation to change if you were in fact eating animals? But if you were eating humans, you would feel obligated to stop eating them.
Pretty much because I was raised eating meat, and I'm pretty healthy, and it's a part of my life, and I think it's under control. It's not really a problem for me personally, and I could do the most I can to buy local food and support local farmers. I can do what's in my control. Not gonna eat humans.
Yeah,
And
so-
but I also want to ask you though, what is why do you feel there's no distinction between killing animals? I mean, killing, say, let's just say a cow. Why would that be completely wrong compared to killing a human? Like, why do you think they're the same degree of murder?
I don't necessarily think it's the same. I haven't claimed it's the same. I just don't see a morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies murdering them. So we don't have to be the same. There can be a hierarchy of value, but it's still being wrong to kill something with less value just because there's no justification. Just because they're less valuable than us. If you have that view, like I probably do, I do think it's a hierarchy of value, and probably the hierarchy of value is correlated with the hierarchy of sentience. The more sentient a being is, the more value it probably has for me. So, like, there's animals with lower degrees of sentience. If we go back to, if we go all the way down to no sentience, like plants and bivalves, I see no problem eating them. But if they are sentient, I see something wrong with eating them. Not necessarily in the same level. I could agree with you that it's worse to murder a human right now here than to murder a mosquito or an ant or something.
Yeah. Okay, well, then what are we debating? If what's
Like,
the
the proposition that we have a disagreement on is that it's a moral obligation to go vegan. I think it is, because I don't see a morally significant difference between us and animals that would justify it. You haven't provided one either.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary to do so. I don't think one has to just completely stop eating animals. I think that might actually be unhealthy for some people if they do it wrong without proper guidance. So I think more if people want to eat healthier, just make better choices and support local farms. And yeah, I don't think there really needs to be an explanation why we shouldn't eat animals. I mean, why we shouldn't eat humans, but we can still eat animals.
Yeah, and the thing where we disagree about is that you would think that there would need to be an explanation. We were currently doing this to humans, enslaving them, holocausting them. There has to be an explanation for that. You would be against that and not support that. But you're saying it doesn't have to be an explanation in the animal context. I'm just not seeing why that's like why there is that asymmetry where we don't need an explanation in the case of animals, and it's our choice. Let's just murder whoever we want. It's our choice. Let's not think about the victims, It's our choice. But in the human context, we do need an explanation. It wouldn't be a choice to kill humans. I'm just not seeing what separates it, what makes it a choice in animals but not in humans.
Choice, personal choice, what people want. And I think it just comes down to that. If someone only wants to eat plants, they can, and they should, if that's what they want. But if someone, just because other people think that's what the only thing they should consume to be, then that it's kind of a bit of control in a way, because I think we place so much cultural significance around consuming animal products that I think that should still stay alive. And just to eradicate all of that, it would be kind of... Yeah, so I'm still pro animal products.
Let me respond to that because you brought up 2 points. You mentioned something about choice, and then something about what would happen to those jobs created, that complex system of animal agriculture. So just to put that into perspective, like you said, it bottoms out at choice. It's choice that makes it okay. So if somebody chooses to kill humans, let's say Jeffrey Dahmer, like he ate humans. In your point of view, he was being ethical because that was his personal choice to do that, right?
It was.
Would
And-
it be ethical? That's the question.
Oh. No,
Okay,
it
so
wouldn't be ethical.
so
But
it can't be choice the thing it bottoms out to. You agree? It can't be choice. And the thing about the complex system and the economy of meat eating or whatever, like if it was a complex system of human slavery and human holocaust, you would still be against ending that, but not for animals. So I'm still not seeing the distinction. It's not choice. It's not the system. What is it?
I would say because I enjoy it. Is that another valid answer? Did I not say that one yet?
Well, let's.
Did I say that one yet?
It is. It is a valid answer. It's logically. It could be a logically. It could be a logically consistent answer. I just want to know if you would accept the logical consequences of that. So you enjoy it, and that justifies it. If you were to enjoy human flesh, you got a taste for it. Oh shit! It's actually pretty good to eat humans. Would you say it's fine and ethical?
That'd be a really odd future. What if that became a thing? Do you think it might?
No.
Human
I
flesh?
think the future is vegan, honestly. But I'm just asking you. Do you think it would be fine to eat humans because you like the taste of it?
Yeah, I'm a little curious. Think a human might taste good?
I hear it tastes like pig, like swine. So if you like that, you probably would like eating humans. Like it used to be a delicacy. Like eating humans used to be a cultural universal at some point. Like we committed cannibalism for many reasons, like religious sacrifice, like survival situations. Like there's examples of human cannibalism still today.
Yeah. I think I should point out that I don't eat pork. I haven't eaten pork in a long time, maybe several months. And the last time I had it, just someone gave it to me.
I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that, man. Please add more animals to the list
To the
of
list.
animals you don't eat.
Yeah, and yeah, I try to support local farmers as much as I can. I know I probably brought that up like 5 times, but I just want to emphasize my ethics on eating. I believe in eating completely whole foods against factory production. If it has to be packaged in plastic to a mass extent, it's and boxed and mixed with a bunch of different compounds. Should we really be consuming it? And that's something that's nice about animal meat, that it's pretty raw in its form and it contains a lot of nutrients. So I think for me, one of my greatest topics, and I have been trying to not bring up because I know we've been trying to talk about the ethics of it, but I think nutritionally, animal products are extremely beneficial. And that's one of the reasons I consume them. And I'm sure there is ways to get similar amounts of nutrients with plant products, but that's just a choice and a route each individual has to make. And I think we should all experiment with both routes and see what works for us. And even if we didn't go vegan 100%, like the world flat out vegan, if we stopped factory farming, if we reduced the amount of animal protein we consume, think about how much healthier the planet would be.
If what? What's the question?
If, say, we reduced the pollution from factory farming, if it would be healthier, like just all those consequences of, say, when they produce Greek yogurt and they spill the whey into the, I don't know if this is still occurring, but I read an article that when Greek yogurt first kind of became a fad, this one company, they were expelling all of the byproduct just in local rivers, and it was killing all the fish. And that was at just the desire to want to profit off of milk, off that animal product. That's terrible. I don't think that's ethical. But if someone milked a cow and they produced some nice yummy yogurt that was done ethically, that's completely fine. And I think as we do things with love and care, that's why the questions about eating the humans and the race, like that's so out there and unnecessary. But small things like catching a fish in a river and then making some homemade yogurt, if people adopted those practices, we wouldn't need this idealism of completely vegan. We would just need the idea of a sustainable life and a healthy relationship with food, not one that we see that things are being murdered and tortured. At least that's how I would like to look at it.
Yeah, so you said a couple of things there, and I still haven't heard an answer. Why is it okay to kill animals and not humans? You mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned choice. You agree that that would entail a contradiction, because if it was somebody's choice to kill a human, like Jeffrey Dahmer's, it would be wrong. And then you mentioned something about taste pleasure. You would think it's wrong to, based on that, eat humans because you like the taste. You also think that's wrong. Like, and some of the things you said there, you said something different. You said something about the nutritional adequacy of plants or whatever. Like, I disagree with you that meat is superior in any way to plants. Like, I think we can, like, our health can be completely fine and adequate, and we can even be healthy, and like with health benefits on a plant-based diet. But even assuming like eating humans provided us some health benefits or whatever, I still would say that's wrong, and you would probably agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like failing to still see an answer. So why is it okay to holocaust animals, man? Why not just stop? If you don't find a justification, you haven't been able to provide a logically consistent justification. Everything you said, like choice, species, you don't like the logical consequences of that, and you say no to each of the logical consequences. So why still do something you can't find justification to?
I don't really put catching a fish and eating it as the same emotional consequence to the thing you're consuming. Like a fish, I don't think it experiences the same emotional consequence as a human would, and it would bring as much devastation to the population of fish. So, yeah, I just don't. I don't put them on the same level.
Yeah. And me neither, by the way. I'm not asking if you put them on the same level. I'm just saying, why is it okay? Look, okay, the question is this. The question is this. Is it justified to murder for food? I don't think it would be justified to holocaust humans for food. And I don't see a morally significant difference, big enough morally significant difference between us and animals that would justify that. So you're saying a fish is totally fine because, like whatever fish, but what is it about fish that makes it okay to eat the fish but not the human? What's the difference between the fish and the human that makes it okay to fish and eat one but not the other?
I would say just the simple nature that it's a fish. You don't have to really overthink this too much. It's a fish, and we're humans.
So something about like the simple nature. Like, do you agree that's like completely arbitrary? You're like saying, como que, just the simple. Imagine like using that in any other context. Just the simple nature. He's taller than me. That's why it's fine to kill him. It's the simple nature. Simple nature. They're just kids. Simple nature. They're just kids. It's the simple nature. It's the simple nature of he's from another race. He's Asian. He's black. It's just that simple. Like, imagine just using that sort of like arbitrary discrimination in the human context, right? So what is it about the fish that makes it okay to eat? And if you say something like simple nature, I can do that about anything. I could do it about women. I could do it about black people. Like, it has to be something more specific about.
Should you do that? Should you assign such a... Okay, so I was just going to say, should you assign such a simple answer to something like that? Like, say, racism. That's a little more sensitive topic. I think with the fish doesn't, as I brought up to the topic before, that we don't have a very emotional connection to fish in the sense that, say, we're not raised by them. We don't speak to them. We don't talk to fish. So I can have a conversation. After this whole conversation, if I were to kill you and eat you, I would still know everything that I knew about you, and that would be in my consciousness. And I know we can bring up the topic, what if you didn't know the person? What if it was just produced in a farm?
That's what I'm gonna ask you each time.
I know. And I guess you can get to know the fish. You have it in the fish tank. It's your friend. You feed him every day. And that's how you may look at it as well, that the fish is sentient and it's a friend, not food. So why eat the fish but not the human? And I guess this is one I really need to think about and get back to you, because I do have this simple answer in my head, but as you pointed out, that's insignificant and kind of a bogus, easy way out. But so no, I understand your point completely. It's just I feel I eat extremely healthy, and I love supporting locally grown. So, and I know, and I'm comfortable with that. That makes me feel good about myself. So I have a good relationship with food. If I didn't, then maybe I'd feel more eager to switch my dietary habits. But yeah, I think we can we wrap this up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. I just want and I agree. You you admitted that each trait you've mentioned is kind of been bogus. You know, the logical consequences, like, because some, like, to refer back to the fish. You know, like you said something about the simple nature of being a fish, but you do know that like arbitrary discrimination is not something that you would accept in any other context. Like that, just the sheer nature of being black, the sheer nature of being a woman, like you wouldn't accept like random discrimination, the sheer nature of being mentally disabled, you know. So I just want to know why fish have so little value in your view that it would be okay to not grant them a right to life like humans have a right to life. I just don't know what's like the morally substantive difference between us and fish or any other of the other animals that you eat that makes them of so little value that it's okay to just holocaust them and not grant them a right to life. I'm failing to see an answer to that, and if you can just concede that you haven't provided an answer and there's no justification for your actions, then we can wrap it up.
I see. I think it's more just lack of communication with them.
Lack of knowledge about the animals.
Skip it. You can
Yeah.
have something at the end, man.
Yeah, I don't. So I like fish.
Yeah.
So, but I do think there is. I did say bogus about this, the simple nature, but I did bring up a bunch of other points that they could use some more exploration, because it's always good to think about what we consume and what we put in our bodies. But yeah, I guess I can admit right now that I have not provided a good explanation and a good difference between eating humans and animals, like why we shouldn't, and I have provided some contradictions. I can admit that, definitely, but
Really appreciate it.
yeah, it's I think it's a complex topic, and with an easy solution, just to not eat the animals. So that's the thing. It's a complex problem with an easy solution.
There you go.
So I understand completely that part of it, but yeah, I think we just have a choice to kind of enjoy what we want, and if we're doing it sustainably, then that's a choice someone has to deal with, and hopefully us humans, we can battle with the consequences that we've made from those choices. And with that, I think, kind of, would you like to say anything else?
Yeah. I just really appreciate like the intellectual honesty, like admitting you didn't provide an answer that was logically consistent. You did contradict yourself, so I just appreciate that, man. Like right there is evidence that you're a good faith interlocutor, and that's why I knew, man. I knew from the beginning, like, I'm gonna challenge this guy. He seems intelligent. He seems like a nice person. I knew I was gonna have a good faith discussion, and I was right about that. And yeah, you said it's a problem with a simple solution. I hope you reflect on your values and you say como que, you say like, yeah, it's a pretty hard question to answer. Why is it okay to Holocaust them and not us? Like I didn't provide any answer to that. Maybe I should just go vegan. That's a simple answer. And because you do admit that the kinds of things that you've been saying, like it's our choice. You wouldn't accept that in a human context. It's my choice to just kill him, to rape her, to like punch him. That's not a justification to be immoral just because it's your choice. We have choices. We have free will to do whatever the hell we want, but it's not necessarily moral. It's also the thing about taste pleasure. That in itself, you admit, doesn't justify violence, doesn't justify killing somebody or someone because you like the taste. So those answers are not enough, and I really appreciate that you were intellectually honest enough to admit that, man.
Sure. But let's not rape and kill anyone. Let's not do that. If you're gonna eat a chicken, try to buy it from a local farmer. If you're gonna do it, don't kill people.
Yeah, and let's not rape or kill animals either. Like sexual exploitation is a big thing in factory farms. Like they are artificially inseminated, and then the males are murdered. Like it's fucking horrible, man. And small farms, all those animals that supposedly live happy lives, all end up in the slaughterhouse, man. So why do that if we can just eat something else, man? Like. And that's it for me. Unless you have anything else to say, and I'm pretty sure you have a couple of things to say. You can ask anything you want, and then we can wrap it up.
I think I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this. It's digging deep into the ethics of what we eat and who we eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who they are beings with subjective experience, capacity for subjective experience. So there's an I in there. There's a person inside.
Referring to plants too, but you said earlier plants are sentient. In some
No,
sense.
they're not sentient.
Yep. But
Did I say that by mistake or something?
a little tweak, but we not like you weren't.
Non-sentient is what I meant if I said that.
Well, I know you were saying that plants are alive, in that sense. That yeah. So
Yeah, and I don't see life has intrinsic value. Like if something's not sentient, it doesn't have a capacity to suffer or to experience well-being. I don't really care. Like rocks, I don't care much about rocks. I care about plants in as much as they provide substance to sentient beings.
what's wrong with the rock, bro? The rock's important as well.
I
Without the rocks, we wouldn't be able to film this wonderful debate.
without the rocks.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me clarify that.
How about exploitation of mines in
Yeah.
distant countries?
Let me
No,
clarify,
that's
let me
not.
clarify. That's a good point. That's actually a good point. Like, if rocks are needed for sentient life to exist and to get here, then rocks have extrinsic value. So they don't have value in themselves. They just have value in as much as they help sentient beings exist or get here, or whatever. Because we do live in a rock, like this planet Earth here.
Yeah, but yeah, good debate, man.
Yeah, good debate, man. Do you want to ask anything, or we're good?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, that was